Okay, this is an unboxing video of my Papertess B6 yearly planner that just arrived today. It comes with all this cute little packaging and an invoice. Okay, we'll move that out of the way. So this comes in 3 colors. There's a sage green, a sand, and black, which is what my preferred of the 3 colors, although the sage green is very pretty. All right. There we go. So it's not crazy thick, which is a little bit, I was a little worried just because it has all those extra pages in the back that it might be huge, but this is nice. This feels really nice in my hand. This is not a super sturdy cover, so this would be one you would definitely want to have a cover for because it would get dinged up, my guess is, if you just threw it in your bag. Okay, I'm going to do a quick flip through, and then I'm going to show you some of the layouts. I've been playing with layouts from pictures that I found online and people's videos I've gotten inspired by, and I'm going to show you some layouts I'm thinking about using. I am downsizing to this size from a Hobonichi Cousin, which is an A5 size. This is a B6 size, so that makes a big difference as far as weight is concerned and the size of it. Here, I'm going to show you this is my Hobonichi Cousin. So, and that's only the 6-month version. So it is it is gotten very chunky with all the things I put in it. So I definitely was wanting to downsize because this is going to be my daily carry. And I try and put everything in here. I will use for next year my Hobonichi Cousin as a memory keeper. So that one can get chunky because it's not going to be coming with me everywhere. It's going to be for memories and journaling and things like that. Okay, so inside, little piece of fuzz there. You have 2 plain pages and then a page where you can fill out your information. You have some index reference pages, 2 sets of them. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put there. Probably some, I'm not wanting to put like quotes or goals for the year, but I probably will find some sort of tracking that I would like to do that I will put in this section. I like data collecting. The more I learn about what people collect, the more things I want to keep track of. Okay, here's the yearly overview. This I have not yet decided solidly what I'm going to do, but it gives you my whole year for 2025. And then there's little places. Some people put highlights for the year. Some people keep track of things that they do, like posting videos or things like that. I don't see myself doing that. So maybe a yearly highlight or a photo of the month, I think, were the things I was kind of leaning towards using this section for. This section, again, it's another yearly overview. This I'm going to use to track my steps, my daily steps. I wear a Samsung smartwatch and it keeps track of it for me, and I just really like looking and seeing that data displayed. I would definitely like to get more steps in every day next year. Okay, now we come to this is the section for tracking. Well, it's a section I'm going to use for tracking. So in my Hobonichi Cousin, I have several things, medical, health related things that I track in that section. And so I have it all set up with little codes and stuff. And so I'm going to use that same list. Now this has a few extra, it's a couple boxes wider. So I may have to kind of condense the list that I keep track of here, but I'm pretty set on using it that way because I just started doing that in October. I didn't do it the first 3 months, and I really like how it's looking, and it's helpful, if I'm tracking symptoms or things when I go into the doctor, I can say these are the days it happened on. So I'm excited about doing that. And the way that I do that, I showed that very quickly. I write down what I'm tracking here, and then every day it gets a color code, and I have a reference of like from light to dark, of like just a blank square to a completely filled in square to like an X or halfway X'd, just to kind of show like the severity or the distinctiveness of what I'm tracking. So at a glance, it's easy to tell. So that's what I'm going to use this section for. Now, here's another quarterly section. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to track here, but if there's more things I want to track that I run out of room on this one, that this is probably where I am going to do that. This is 30 boxes wide, I believe. I counted. Yeah, because these are each 10. So it's 30 boxes wide. So if I wanted to track something, I would have 30 boxes. And most months have 30 or 31 days. If I needed 31, I could go, into this margin here for the 31st day. So I would guess I will use this for tracking things. These little calendars are also good for tracking certain things. I might like pencil in my weight or something health related, although I am planning to use a Hobonichi Weeks to keep track of all my health and fitness data. It's just a little bit too much data to incorporate into this book. So I have it separate because I meal plan with macros and things like that. So it probably is not going to be something health related because I don't see the point in having it more than one place. But something like that, I was for a while with my youth group at church tracking money that we found. And so that might be something to put on here. Or I've also been asked to keep track of like my blood pressure. So that may be the perfect thing to put in here. So you have, a spread like this for every quarter. A couple more blanks. Now this year for 2025, she did not give you December, which is totally fine for me because I will be finishing up my cousin for 2024. But if you were getting this and you didn't have, and you wanted to use it for December or have December as a reference, you've got a space here where you could fill that in with no problem. Again, I'm not sure what I'll use these for, but I'll find something, I'm sure. So this is the monthly spread. Let's see, we're 3, 6, 7 across, 3, 6, and basically 7 high. I mean, this does not have actual grid in it. I don't know if you can tell. We get up close. But if you wanted it, it's still, you could use that whole space for planning. Okay, so after the month, you have these two spreads here. These are, I think I know what I'm going to use this for. So I do a lot of tracking of my finances. I have 2 accounts that I keep track of. One account pays all of my bills automatically. And so that's where money gets deposited. And from there, I transfer money to my account where I buy gas and groceries and all those everyday purchases. That way I make sure I have enough money in my bill paying account to pay the mortgage and things like that. So I will probably, because that one doesn't have that many other incidental spending. I mean, I do have a card from it, and occasionally if there's a little extra there, I might pay out of that account for things. But since it is pretty much a straightforward spending every month, I will probably do that on this page. And then I also have a monthly tracker. In fact, I have them in my little book here. I'll just give you an example of how I do this. So for my bill paying account, you can see I kind of have it's like a running check register. And here's my list of my spending, what I'm expecting to spend on my bills automatically. And like this here, I'm making notes of extra things that I wrote checks from the account. So anyway, I will probably put that on this page. And then I also do a financial, like I'm trying to keep track of paying off credit card debt. So I have this that I make for every month. It shows me the day that each one of these is due and what my previous balance, what my current balance is, what my payment is, anything outstanding, which account I used to pay it, the date I used to pay it. And then so I fill this out every month so I kind of know where I'm at, and it's a way of accountability. So this information will likely go on this page because each of those 2 things I showed you, only one happens per month. Now, we'll talk about the other account that I track later when we get to that part of the book. Now, here we have, this is the weekly section. So you had January. Now we're going to go right into January. This is the thing that I find superior to Hobonichi is the fact that it's mixed together, because in Hobonichi I have to reference 3-4 different spots in my book every week to check in with my yearly, monthly, weekly and daily sections. Now, I don't love this. This is not the way. I don't like horizontal planning. I'm kind of rebellious against it. But because this is all grid here, I knew that with a little bit of whiteout tape, I could easily change this around. So that is what I have spent the last week doing, is watching everybody else's videos on how they plan and making a plan for myself. So I made this cute little diagram here. This is just showing what is printed in the book. So this reflects to this page. This reflects to this page. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 spreads like this every week. So a weekly spread and then 7 daily spreads. So you can see there's 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7. And so each one of these can be a daily spread like you would have in your Hobonichi cousin. And so, but what you lack is because, and you know, with Hobonichi, with your days all together, it doesn't matter if day 1 starts here or starts here, because they all back up to each other. But here we want a distinctive start and finish for every week. And the week has 7 days. And so if you give a 2-day spread to your weekly, then you have 9 pages, and that's off-putting. So you'd have to give it 10. So, so you're faced with, you either use this for all of your weekly planning, this side right here only, and give yourself a day per page, or you make this into a 2-page spread for your weeks. And then you either double up on the weekend, or you don't have a defined start and stop for every day. So there's so many different ways to handle this. And I have, like I showed you here, I've got all these different ways that I've kind of figured out I think I could possibly use, and not sure which one was going to work the best. And so I went to Papertess and I took her pictures of what those spreads look like, and I copied them and I put them into Word and I sized them so that they would be about right. I printed them off and I tried my different spreads on them. So here's one where I use whiteout and I make myself a weekly spread, kind of like Hobonichi. I moved the habits dashboard side over here because this side does not have grid. As you can see, there's no grid here, even though you can see it through the page. It's not actually printed. So I figured it would be easier to do my habit trackers, my weekly ones, on this side. So I would just white out these lines, draw one here, and have my weekly spread go that way. So that is a valid way to do it. And then I would give myself a page per day, in theory. And then my weekend, I would double up on maybe having I could either do Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday. Not sure what would work best for me. In my Hobonichi, the way that I like to do my dailies is, let's see, something like this. Well, let's see. That one's all journal. Let's see if I can find a better one where I haven't done too much. Okay. So like here, a section for appointments, a section for to-dos. I like to keep a media log, and then a section to journal. And then I often add, this is like a review of this book that I listened to. I'll tape those things inside, but that's going to move to my memory keeping next year. So I don't have a bulky planner. So that is a valid way of doing it. That is my first choice. My second choice is to do this number and to do 7 columns and just use it sideways. Now, you'll notice I have 7. She has 8 because there's your 7 days, and then this is an extra one. I'm afraid that this will be too narrow. It's only 5 spaces wide. If I use this, if I white it out and do 6 spaces wide, I can fit 7 columns this way, 6 wide. But looking at this, I'm thinking I would at least probably try to do 7, or not 7, to do it the way it's set up. I just continue these lines down and use that to put my appointments in, and then maybe use this for my weekly. But see, there's only 5. Well, I can see 6, and I guess if I used this little section right here, but then I would have no way to indicate which habit it was. So I think I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how I'll do it, but anyway, this is an option to make this one this direction, and then it would give me, here's how I would lay it out. I would have 7 pages like this, one for each day. So I've got to-dos, media here, journal, and this, I've seen people do this and I really like it. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they actually drew, so like, let's say I was getting breakfast ready in this section, I might draw a plate with my breakfast. If I had work, I would do some sort of an icon for work that would take up the space on this timeline that was referring to work. So it's like a timeline and little icons and pictures and doodles all up and down there. And then I also like to keep track of the weather. And I kind of like the fact that my weather would be here by my journal, because to me, weather can be very strongly related to how I feel or how I act. So I kind of like this, this idea. This would, again, make this as close to my Hobonichi cousin layout as possible. What this lacks, though, is a good place to do my habit tracking. So, and I could put that at the beginning in some of those pages where I'm like, I don't know where it's going to go, but I like to have weekly habit trackers near my weekly stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to handle that, but that's the downfall of this layout. Okay. This is a third option of how to do your daily pages. So dividing it like this and just starting each section depending on how big or little. There are some days where I'm working at my kids' school all day long, making hot lunch. So I don't have a whole long list of things, of to-dos, because I'm right there. My to-dos are often, chores or things on the computer to do. So there's some days where I just don't have a long to-do list because I'm focused on one task all day long. So those days would be shorter than others. The weekends, etc., might be shorter. So this just shows the fact that those could be variant. I would have to pick a certain place in my planner where I would say the to-dos end and the journal begins, because then I would start journaling in the leftover section. And again, I would start and stop the journal as the days, as much room as it took for that day, rather than being like, it's always going to have a full page for everything. This is an option. I'm not leaning heavily towards it, but it's one I think could potentially work for me. This is not showing what my weekly section would look like. This is only how the daily part of that would be. So this would probably go well with my spread like this, where I had the 4 columns and then I have these. It's an idea. Okay. Now this was an idea of how to use her setup for my health journal. I will not do that this year just because, like I said, I'm using Hobonichi Weeks to do this. But since it reminded me of the weeks, I was like, well, maybe I could fill that in. And then I could have a 2-page vertical spread. And then that would give me 4 more pages to divide up for to-do lists or journals or whatever. I was thinking of maybe journaling in the back 4 pages and then doing my a running to-do list in the very back 100 pages of the book. I'm not super sold on this, but it was kind of an idea I was playing around with. Okay, the next option is to use this section here as a media log to have my vertical dailies next to it and just divide up my weekends, which would work pretty well because most of my appointments are things that happen during the week. I don't schedule time block as much on the weekends. So I think that this could work for me. And then that would give me, again, I would have 6 more pages for my daily pages. And I could lay them out in any of those ways that I had talked about. Okay, here's another option. And this one is to just use these horizontal ones for appointments and use it horizontally. I don't love that idea, but what I do love is this way of doing my to-dos. They would be a running to-do list that would just keep going and going and going. Put the date in of when I put my to-do. And as I was making this up, I was like, since there's squares here, I could truly set up my habit tracker and then just pick a column for whatever day that chore had to happen on. So this was just my first attempt at doing this sort of thing. But I was thinking, my habit tracker or my chore list, habit tracker, task list, whatever, would go over a certain number of pages. And then the journal would start and I would use, the rest of the spreads for journaling. And at the end I could put my media log in. So that is these are kind of these things right here, written out in a form that I could work with and see, is this really going to work? So once I did that, I was feeling better because I was getting antsy because this hadn't arrived and I wanted to play around with layouts. So the other day I sat down and I thought, okay, what I'm going to do, because I don't want to just start drawing in here and messing it up. Like, oh, I'm sold on this idea. I'm going to fill out my new book and then get in there and hate it. So I thought, I've got some extra pages in this thing where I keep track of my money and stuff. I'm going to draw one out for the week and I'm going to double plan. So I planned it for next week. And as I was doing it, I thought, how about since we're already oriented this way, why don't we do the 7 columns? And I really like the width of this. And then do this habit task tracker. And so I have this set up for next week. It's going to start next Monday, the 11th. And I've already got my appointments put in. And I've got all of my habit trackers. I've got that started off here. Mood tracker, sleep tracker, and some chore, like my 5-minute pickup log, which sometimes I do better or worse about keeping up with. That's right here. It could get mixed in if I needed to. If I found another habit I wanted to track, I could just add it in here and just give myself 7 columns, because again, every column is for a day of the week. And the other thing that I did, so I put in things that I want to do. I also put in, these are things that happen every 2 to 3 weeks. So when it's the week to do this shot, I put it in. When I've done the shot, I can write it in that slot and move this to 2 or 3 weeks down the road when I need the next one. So I remember these ones to get it in my to-do list. So I've got it set up over 2 pages. I'm not going to journal in here because, number one, I don't see the point in journaling twice. And number two, I can kind of tell how much space it takes up in my cousin compared to how much it would take up in here. So when I get done with the week, I'm curious how my task list, because this prevents me rewriting tasks from day to day. If I set something up for Monday and I don't do it, I just have to cross it out, move it over to Tuesday. Here, I'm not having to do that. I can just give it a box for Tuesday. So I don't know. This may be enough space for an entire week's worth of tasks. But worst case scenario, it takes up, 2, 3 pages. We'll see how many blanks I have at the end, I guess, is the bottom line after this experiment, to see how much space it took up. If it gives me enough spaces at the end to journal, hallelujah. And if it doesn't, well, then I know. But yeah, I'm very curious how this is going to work. This is a completely different setup, and I got this idea, the running task list, from Helen on Coffee Monster Co. And I really like that. She uses a separate book, and I tried doing that this week, and I just can't. It needs to be in the same book for me. So I'm excited to try this out. So anyway, that's kind of my layout for my weekly, monthly section. Let's just keep flipping through here. Hopefully I haven't lost any of you, but yeah, we have monthly, we have a 2-page spread, which I think I'll use for finances. Then we've got all of those for week 1, and it tells you real small right here, week 1, and it gives you the dates. Week 2, again, the dates, and then all those daily pages or however you plan to use them. Week 3, week 4, and of course January is a longer month, so let's see if we have, yes, she does go into week 5, because most of it is January, and then you just have 2 February dates. And then you have all of these daily pages, and then we get to February. And it's going to repeat like that through the whole book. Now, we get to the end. I'll finish up all of December. Now you have 100 blank pages. We've got 6, it ends at 600. Oh, we've even got more than 100. We start at $4.96, so 104 pages. Blank pages to use however you want, which I really like. So remember I said I kept track of 2 bank accounts. So my second bank account, this one here, these ones every week, I keep track of how much I spend each week. And you can see it's a fairly long list compared to, I mean, this one takes up this much space, but this one takes up this much space per week. So you could maybe fit 2 weeks on a spread, maybe not. I mean, the idea, I could turn it this way and just have a running one, like you would have your normal little check register that you have in your wallet with your checkbook. I could do either way like that, but that would give me, 100 pages to do that, and I won't use them. If I had one per week, a full page per week, that would take up 52, and that's only half of this. So I could basically have something else going on in the back of the book, which I don't have a plan for yet, but it's something to think about and something to work with. Sometimes it's nice just to have note pages in the back. So I'm not sure what I will use the back pages for besides the running checkbook. So that is an idea. But anyway, that is where I'm at with my Papertess. I was very excited to get this and actually feel it. This is it's very soft. I don't know if you can hear that. Smooth. It's not much. It looks like it has a texture, but it really doesn't. But it's like a matte smooth. It feels really good. So I'm just so excited. Of course, this is the nice Tomoe River paper, and it's looks like it's more of an ivory than a white. And this grid is printed very lightly. So for people that don't like it to see it much, it's freeing. But if you do like to see it, you have to kind of, it's there enough that you can see it. It's not hidden or anything, but it's not a bold grid. So it makes room for designing your planner however you like to design it. And anyway, if you're considering this as an option, hopefully this gave you the information that you would need to make a decision, and hopefully some ideas for layout. People gravitate to this because each day is not labeled, so you have the flexibility to do it how you would like to. The reason I'm considering other alternatives instead of 1 page a day, exactly like my cousin, is the fact that, some of these pages without pictures and stuff in it are pretty empty. This is a vacation, so this is full of stuff that would go in, my memory keeping. Without memory keeping, I mean, this is a lot of blank space. Like this day, not much happening that day. Not much. I mean, there was my to-do list. It took that much little bit of space. So it is nice, do I need a full page? Do I need a B6 size page to do to-do lists and journaling? I did not start journaling regularly till October. So without journaling, I mean, it's like there's a lot of blank space if you don't put stuff in it. And I like how this looks. I mean, this is going to be a very precious book to me. I like the fact that it's like crazy and stuff going everywhere. But what I don't like is it makes it very heavy to carry around. And so you can see I've kind of changed my layout so much as time has gone. So anyway, I want to keep this slimmed down for my everyday carry. And that is why I decided to go smaller. And unfortunately, Hobonichi does not make a cousin in the B6 size. So that would have made my purchase very simple and easy, because I do love the Hobonichi. Don't get me wrong. I will probably always get a cousin because I will always want to make some sort of a memory book. And I just feel like I need it. But after having this little notebook that I'd ordered just to see what does B6 feel like, and being able to incorporate it and use it was so slim and easy to carry around. And I bought this one off of Amazon, and it's not the greatest quality, but just it's a great place for rough notes and stuff to keep up with, little checklists and stuff. But this has just felt so good to carry around. It's slimmer, but it's just felt good to carry around that I thought I just really Need to find something that will work for me that's in this size. So I've got a couple of covers coming. They have not arrived yet. I have a clear cover downstairs. I wish I could find one that was this quality, but this is a B6 size, but it is not going to fit. Well, since we're here, let's just try it. I really don't think it's going to fit around this Papertess, but we could try. If it did, that would be amazing because I do love how that feels. It feels very safe and secure, like protective. Let's see if I can get this on. Yeah, it's coming up short because it's got a lot more pages. So if I could find, and Wonderland 222 does sell one for their B6 all-in-one, but I believe this still has more pages. I should order it. It would be a better fit, I think, than this one. And it may be a stretch that I can make. It might stretch out and fit. But anyway, I did order one that's supposed to be adjustable from an Etsy store. And I think it will fit, but it's not nearly as nice. It is more like the cover I have on. Oh, I took it off to fit it in here. Never mind. It's a lot more flimsy of a cover that I had on this before I was using. This is my cover from Hobonichi. So I don't know that I'm going to love the one that I have downstairs right now, but it's something to protect it until what I've ordered does come in. And I have ordered a couple. I did order one from Aura Estelle. And thankfully I found one that was like on clearance, so I didn't spend a fortune because they are pricey. I think I was able to get mine for $29 or $35 because it was imperfect, or it was one and that they were not selling full price. So I have that coming, and I also found one on Etsy that's also was kind of in that price range that are coming, but they will add bulk and weight to it. So something like this would be perfect if I could find one to fit. So maybe I'll get on Wonderland 222 and at least order it and see if I can get it to come. But having these extra pages here in the back prevents me from having to carry a second book like I'm doing with my cousin, because my cousin, this is the thing. Like, this is too big, and yet it's too small. It's too big as far as being too big this direction, but it's too small as in it doesn't have extra pages to track the financial things that I want to track and the health things. Like, I put all my health and financial trackers for 3 months into this because I was keeping track of the health and the financial stuff in a disc binder because I only came to Hobonichi in July. And it kind of scared. I thought this was going to be too small because, folks, I was using a classic size Happy Planner, which was huge. So anyway, it will prevent me from having to carry 2 books around. So I'm excited. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.